Hey everyone, guess what? Welcome to another episode of Agency Accelerated. You are in for an amazing show today because listen, look, the marketing landscape is changing. With the rise of AI and automation, it's no longer enough to just have a strategy. You need to create a personalized one that works for each client. And you need to do this at scale. In order to succeed in today's business world, your agency needs an edge over the marketers and agencies. This interview will give you some ideas on how you can use AI and automation software to improve and personalize your client strategies, making them that much more effective. Welcome back to Agency Accelerated, where we explore ways to grow and scale your agency with some of the most trusted brands in the industry. We're live Wednesdays this quarter at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So make sure you head on over to agorapulse.com/calendar and subscribe so you don't miss any of this season's episodes. Hey everyone, I am Stephanie Liu and I'm here with Ann Cheng. In today's episode, we're talking about how digital marketing agencies can actually leverage artificial intelligence to build and streamline marketing strategies for their clients and what that even means. So stay until the very end because you'll get a chance to get your hands on yet another way to add more revenue to your marketing agency. So I want to give a huge shout out to our live audience. Shout out to Scott Ayers who gave so much love for the cool guitar. I know, right? Isn't that so much fun? Right? And Evie, who's all about streamlining systems and all the things. This is going to be an amazing opportunity for you to figure out how maybe you might want to include AI into that process. Cool. So listen, if your team could create better marketing strategies for your clients faster than ever, how would that impact your business? Start thinking about that because that's going to be the key question for today. Shout out to Anthony. Anthony, you're back. You're back from last week's show. So nice to see you. Awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and bring on today's guest. Come on through. Yes, Anne.
Hello.
I am
Thanks
so
for having
excited to
me.
have you. Yeah, my goodness. You guys in the green room chat, she blew my mind. And I was like, what am I even doing with my life? Because she is doing some amazing things. In fact, let me tell you what's going on right now. So, Supercharges Labs CEO Ann Cheng, ta-da, is a serial entrepreneur who has sold two of her previous startups. She's also the founder of Startup Nation, a Southeast Asian angel investment fund that she retired from in 2016. Through her experience in the startup ecosystem and consulting through nonprofits, she has worked with both large conglomerates and a variety of startups in emerging technologies. I'm telling you, she's wicked smart. And I've only spent a couple minutes with her. I was like, oh my goodness, I want you in my network, in my circle, because she's just so brilliant. She's passionate about innovation, and you're going to hear that today. She's also passionate about social enterprise and humanitarian causes. She spends her time in improving efficiencies, helping small businesses and build sustainable innovations that can impact humanity. She enjoys mentoring, which makes a lot of sense because it's Startup Nation, right? And spends her free time coaching the next generation of future entrepreneurs. That right there, that's passion, legacy, innovation, all the things. Absolutely love it. Hey, Anne, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks, Stephanie, for having me.
Of course, of course. So, friends, thank you so much for joining us. Anthony's already got his notepad out. He's ready to receive and capture the moment. Yes, Anthony, sit in there and soak in all of the goodness from today's Agency Accelerated episode. So, having said that, Anne, can you start off with sharing more about who Supercharge Lab is and what they offer?
Well, thanks for asking. So, Supercharge Lab is really a cognitive artificial intelligence company, and that's three big words, right? Cognitive artificial intelligence. And what we do is we use AI, we use deep learning, and we use data to analyze the psychological approach to decision making. We apply that information, that knowledge of the psychological approach of every single individual in an audience to a whole bunch of sales and marketing messages, and we basically improve results or campaign ROIs. The truth that we're trying to solve for, the problem that we're trying to solve for, is the fact that businesses and brands today kind of suck when it comes to resonating with their audiences. They can't position themselves very well, because if you don't understand what your audience is looking for in order to make a decision to engage with you, you typically are unable to resonate with them. So what we have created is a AI engine, and we call this AI engine Segment. So we take Segment, and Segment basically scrapes for breadcrumbs of information left by humans all over the internet. So as long as you have an internet presence or a digital presence, we are able to take these breadcrumbs and form a thesis of a psychological profile of you. And we apply
Wow.
that thesis to the messaging, and yeah, we create more effective outreach and communications to audiences. It's funny. People ask me, what are these breadcrumbs, all the time. Like, everybody says, is it content? Are you taking my content and telling me what kind of person I am? It's not really content. It's actually not what you write, because what you write is what you want people to see or know.
Yeah.
It's how you write. So when you write, whether you use leading statements, whether you use more nouns than verbs, all of that is predicated by this voice inside your head. And what we want to do is detect that voice inside your head and and see what's your approach to decision making, by saying, okay, if you're a social proof person, you're a person who drops a lot of names. You go
Hmm.
straight for reviews. You look for testimonials. You want information about who else is using the solution. By understanding that you're a social proof person, by the way you use emojis in your profile, your Instagram profile, um, we then serve you ads that say things like "trusted by Kim Kardashian,"
Ah,
or reviewed by somebody like Paris Hilton. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm just dropping some names here. So yeah, so that's what Segment does. Segment detects who you are and your view of yourself, and yeah, it basically tells me exactly how to serve the right ads to you.
That's brilliant. So, I mean, coming from understanding linguistics too, right? Because it's not necessarily
Mhm.
always about the content, specifically like the details of what people say, but what Sigmund is doing is actually looking at the process of how. So it's deconstructing how are you formulating these sentences based off of your decision making strategy. So whether it's based off of what you see, hear, right? Or how you
Mhm.
feel about certain influencers or whatnot, but you're deconstructing on how they communicate. So are they using awareness questions, leading things, testimonials, and things like that to really then craft these messages that then go out there. Is that what I'm understanding?
Exactly.
Oh my
Exactly.
God, that's
So
brilliant. I love this. I'm
yeah, so it's like, literally, if you use more nouns than verbs, more
yeah,
adjectives than bullet points, long form content versus short leading statements, that information, we take that information and we put it into a thesis that says, okay, Stephanie, you're actually not social proof driven. You're more of a process driven person. You actually want to know how things work. Um, so if I told you, Steph, this solution costs this much, has a break even of 11 days, you go, what? But if I said, this is how this solution actually works, these are the process steps that will make it work,
yeah,
you go, oh, this is so interesting, tell me more. So that piques your interest, that resonates
yeah.
with you. And that's exactly what brands today need to do. They need to tell their clients exactly what the clients need to hear.
Yeah. And so this is fascinating to me because I study a lot as far as how do you understand your client's motivation strategy or even your customer's decision-making strategy. And some people they like to see information that's visual or sometimes they like to hear it a certain way. So that's why we have media being consumed, whether it's video or podcasting and things of that sort. Or sometimes you have your how-to learners, which I'm very much like, tell me how, right? Like, what's this step? Like, even in the green room, everyone, Gabriel and Scott, I was like, so wait, you need to tell me how, like step by step. And I think when you're able to get that information from Sigmund, it makes it really exciting. And even when you're describing all of this, it's kind of like you're taking, I remember like in psychology and in marketing, we would have to do, what do you call those? They're like consumer research groups, and you would have to bring them into a room
Mhm.
and ask them these questions. But because you're using these digital breadcrumbs, you can scale much faster. Is that what I'm hearing?
You actually do it instantaneously.
It,
Literally. Yeah,
that's
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you. So literally, at that moment, Steph, just based on what you were telling me and how you responded to me, I gave you what exactly your psychological profile was, that
yes.
kind of, information that you take in order to make a decision. So, the thing about it is that our psychology, so our approach to decision making is not as fluid as we like to think of it is. 95% of today's behaviors, especially in a workplace environment, a professional environment, is it's very stable. It's very automatic. If you go
It's
Google it,
unconscious.
ask
Yeah.
ask Google how much of behavior is automatic. You'll see that it's between 90 to 95%. So we're not as unique as we thought we were. Unfortunately, sorry guys. I know it
No,
sucks to feel
wait.
like.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because I do a lot of training too, especially with agency pitch teams and whatnot. And we talk a lot about communication styles, learning styles, decision making strategies, and whatnot. And a lot of how people function, it is automatic. I mean, I always tell people like when you go into the shower, what's the first thing that you do? You probably don't even know off the top of your head, but there is a ritual that you do. And there is a ritual that you also do in the
Mhm.
decision making stuff. Oh my gosh, you're gonna geek out so much. Like I'm
Yeah, for
excited about
sure.
this. Yeah. So here's another question for you. So for agencies who perhaps have been working in traditional sales and marketing for a while, let's back up a little bit and talk about artificial intelligence. What does that actually mean today? And perhaps even more importantly, where's AI taking us tomorrow?
So we need to deconstruct this idea of artificial intelligence being this big scary monster, because it's not. Um, Artificial intelligence, AI, it's really simple. It's just a tool that does all the dirty work for you. The work that you do every day, repeatedly, day in, day out, the tasks that you absolutely hate, things like scheduling to analysis to research to, you know, literally having to not use your head, literally things that you don't use your head for, you just, you know, go through the motions, all that
Hmm.
automatic behavior. AI takes all that automatic behavior and takes all those tasks away from you, and it frees up your time. It lets you do the work that you enjoy, things like creative work, strategic work, critical thinking work, connecting, connecting with people, like what we're doing right now. So what AI has is currently able to do, is all that repeatable stuff. What AI should is trying to start doing right now is actually take over more humanistic tasks like creative work. That OpenAI has released GPT-3, GPT-4.
Yeah,
A lot of content creation is being generated by AI right now. And what we're trying to do is take all the data points that lead to a sound and rigorous strategy. We're trying to take that and put it into one button, and you click
wow.
launch. And literally, we're trying to get that to create that strategic output, that you pay McKinsey's and Bain's lots of money to create. Yeah, we're trying to do that in a click of a button for the cost of a fraction of the cost.
That's incredible. So it's having this ability of accessibility to this new technology that can really help us automate. The things that we don't want to do,
Mhm.
which PS, by the way, I feel like Evie, who's in the audience, is like, wait a second, I'm interested, right? And shout out to Anthony, who's in the comments, who's saying, like, who needs notes when you have these awesome sound effects? Because it is, right? It's helpful, right? You hear the sound effects and you know something good just happened. So, Anne, building on top of what you just said, in a recent blog post, you talked about how AI allows businesses and agencies to achieve personalization at scale. How does that work exactly? And how does personalization help agencies and marketers really resonate and connect with their consumers?
So, resonating and connecting with your customers by personalizing your approach is two pronged, right? So, there's the first side of it is about targeting better. It's by creating new audiences and you know adding more customer attributes to the fray. I know, like if you go do a Facebook ad or you do a LinkedIn campaign, you already have a lot of attributes. But if you add more psychologically driven or more outcome driven attributes, it's easier to predict the behavior. So the first way that personalization can be done is in understanding your audience by targeting better. The second way AI can help in personalization is in the creation of content. It's by creating the right ad copies, outbound messages, or even creating the right brand voice that will resonate with that audience that you create in the first step. By working on these two parts hand in hand, personalization at scale is really quite easy. It translates to more effective campaigns, better ROIs for brands and businesses across the globe. Yeah.
Wow. See, our audience right now, Evie Hyman is saying my brain is working overtime right now. Anthony is saying our ability to process a lot of information is the single biggest challenge leaders have. And so this is fascinating to me because I think about like that Will Smith movie, the AI movie. When I hear AI, I'm like, okay, Skynet and whatnot. But there's just so many advances that have been made, and it's the fact that you can make this so accessible and applied to our everyday, because as marketers, as agencies, we're constantly trying to streamline processes and systems and all the different things. And so personalization at scale, my goodness, that makes me excited because you think about the customer journeys and all the different customer journeys that you can create. Not only that though, but if you need to localize your ad campaigns, right, and understanding the
Uh-huh.
different values levels and what people find important in their different countries, specific regions, ethnicities,
Uh-huh.
and so on. Oh my god, this is so exciting. I'm
Yeah.
fascinated. Yeah, see, that's my brain. So
Yeah.
yeah. So, hey, everyone, if you're just tuning in, right? If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the incredible capabilities today of artificial intelligence and how you as an agency can use AI to scale your client services. But first, a quick reminder and a bonus. This show is brought to you by Agorapulse, voted the number one social media management tool by customers on the planet's top review sites. And if you're looking for yet another way to increase and diversify your agency's revenue streams, Agorapulse has a free webinar to help you do exactly that. I know we're always giving you like the best of the freebies. So here's the thing, head on over to bit.ly/ad agency revenue to sign up, learn, and start driving more revenue from social media services. So make sure you do that because we're always giving you good stuff. Now, another arena and that I've seen AI help with is when it comes to understanding audiences. You talked a little bit about this earlier about personalization. Can you expand a bit more on how AI can be used for agencies, like customer journeys and all the different things? What have you seen your clients use it for?
So, there are a couple of players in the market right now, and a lot of them, uh, well, they assess different information and they create different ways to understand your audience. So one of the companies which is really well known in the market is called Effectiva. And the owner or the CEO of Effectiva just she wrote the book Girl Decoded, and recently Effectiva just got acquired by Smart Eye. So um, what this technology does is it detects emotion AI, and there's this proliferation of emotion AI all over the AI market. What it does, it's a technology that came out of MIT Media Lab, and it uses information about facial recognition, facial cues, to understand if a person is in a good, positive emotional state. And the input data is actually what we call computer vision. But there's been this avalanche of technologies that have input data like computer vision, facial recognition, voice technologies. You can literally speak into a microphone for 2 minutes, and from there they will normalize your tone and literally be able to say, okay, based on your tone, your voice, your visual cues, I know exactly what kind of messages to send you, to serve to you at any right time, to the right person with the right message. Um, we've seen AI being applied iteratively to data sets with millions and millions of customer data points, and they form thesis of audience preferences, their behaviors, the triggers, their inclinations, whether they prefer high-end goods or the color yellow. This is where Segment operates. So Segment operates where we get all these millions of customer data points, and it's text-based contextual information, and we use that data to understand the types of information that creates that triggered behavior, like a purchase or an engagement or a conversion. So by understanding what kind of information a client needs to ingest in order to make a decision, we're then able to say, okay, this is the best way to position yourself, whether you want to do a lot of value, financial value based verbiage or pricing information put prominently on your website, or maybe you want to use influencers or testimonials or brand ambassadors in your marketing strategy, to if you have a predominantly social proof driven audience. So this is something which AI has been expanding on over the years, and today, building AI models is, like I mentioned, getting easier, cheaper, faster, and more accessible.
This is fascinating to me. All of this is just so fascinating to me. Like I brought out my post-it notes because I was like, wow. So the fact that you were talking about emotion AI, it led me to start thinking about micro expressions and just how you could stay up to date with minute changes in someone's facial expressions to see whether or not it actually really resonates with them. Because as we know, when
Mhm,
people speak, sometimes it's just the content, but there's these underlying values and beliefs that they have. And sometimes the giveaway are those micro expressions that they give you.
mhm,
And the fact that you do all of this with the computer vision and all the things, for me, it was like this is like sensory acuity at scale. Because I know that if I'm pitching key stakeholders in a boardroom, I'm naturally paying
mhm,
attention to all of them, right? And I'm trying to see what really resonates and what connects with them, what stories I can tell to build off of that sales pitch. And so what you're
mhm,
saying is that with Sigmund, the fact that you said that is instantaneous, I wanted to give you a standing ovation. I was like, stop it. I was like, that was incredible. And then the fact that you even took it up a level, because I've been helping clients deliver their
mhm,
pitches in a sense of, yes, I know someone had reached out to you and said that they're interested in your workshop or your training. The person that had reached out to you has a different decision making strategy than the person that they have to sell the idea to. So in this case, it could be your board of directors, your investors. And so it's exciting to me in the fact that you could have messaging that's catered to those different personalities or just those avatars, I guess you could say, right? Anthony is saying
mhm,
soft skills on steroids. I absolutely agree. This is where my mind just went like, whoa, you know, this is
mhm,
exciting. My goodness, there's so many different ways that you can use this, and I'm so excited about it. In fact, I've
mhm,
seen I've seen tools that use AI to create actual content or conversation flows. And when I log in, they'll do something like, oh, here's the AIDA framework, which for those of you in marketing, attention, interest, desire, and action. Or there's the problem, agitate, solution framework. How does that actually work? Because you had mentioned, you said GP3T. Did I say that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
You're the
Mm-hmm.
expert.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work? Because you're
So
talking about the way to ingest stuff and information.
yeah, so it's not really difficult to understand, creation of content using AI, but it's exploded in popularity in recent years, right? So today, they're taught anybody who's in marketing is gonna be advertised a bunch of solutions which says we're gonna make your ad copy like really fast, really easy, it will be relevant and stuff like that. So what has AI been used to do? It takes the grunt work out of researching a couple of things. It takes the grunt work out of researching what your competition is using for stuff for their ads. It looks for important keyword opportunities. It predicts your audience behaviors based on your creative copy. It optimizes any kind of copy from headlines to ads to CTAs, and the workflow is really simple. First, you just enter your so-called approved content, which is you describe your event, your product, or your solution that you're trying to market, and then just choose your use case and hit go. That's it. The bots will simply suggest pieces of content which you can either choose from or you can edit as you see fit. And the purpose of what this exercise is really to reduce the time taken to do creative work. It's not supposed to replace creative work altogether, because obviously you need to describe your solution that you're trying to market. But it takes out that grunt work, that what kind of words do I need to use, what kind of keywords are important, should I optimize the headlines, stuff like that. So that's what AI in creative content creation really is about.
That's brilliant. I love when you said the grunt work, because I'm like, yeah, eliminate the grunt work so you could create the groundwork for what it is that you want to do. And so, friends,
Mhm.
what we're going to cover next will tie everything we just discussed together and make it super simple for you to get started. But first, I want to answer a couple of Anthony's questions, and because he's blowing up the chat, which I absolutely love, and we want to give love to those that show up live. And so, Anthony Mistretta, he's asking, how does AI help with the data challenge, getting down to business?
Um, Data. Well, in terms of data, literally AI takes in all that data, and so one thing about data is that it's a lot of noise, right? So one the most important thing that AI does is that it cuts away the noise. It takes away stuff which is irrelevant, and it puts it into context. It gives you meaning. So it takes all these signals that if you walk around Shibuya crossing in Tokyo, you're blasted with like ads and massive messaging information everywhere. What do you look at? You don't even know what you look at. What you're supposed to look at is the road ahead of you, so you don't trip and fall. But really, people aren't looking at the road ahead of them. They're looking around. So what AI is supposed to do with data is remove the noise and get down to business, literally. And the easy way to do it is to create frameworks in which the machines are able to learn. So um, that's why we have data scientists. Data scientists, a lot of them are there to guess probabilities, calculate stuff, but a lot of it is removing unnecessary data.
That makes sense. It keeps you focused because you think of everything that's happening. And I love that you mentioned the Shibuya crossing. I was like, I completely remember that when I was trying to cross. There was everything, there was people in all directions, and you're like, where do I go? You know? And so having AI that will help you filter through that information to help you take out that grunt work, lay the groundwork, build the framework, and get started, then that's absolutely brilliant. Here's another question, Anne, from Anthony. Thank you so much, Anthony, PS, by the way, for asking all these questions. His question is,
Mhm.
so AI has created a new dimension of personal development and tools. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes,
Yeah. I
yes,
was
it
thinking the same thing.
has.
I was like, yes, yeah.
If you look at I've actually been compared to this company which has really amazing marketing. We don't do a good job of marketing ourselves simply because we work with partnerships. But you know, this company called Crystal, huge shout out to them. We get compared to them all the time, and it's really the use of personality like your DISC or MBTI to help in hiring and training and stuff like that. There are a whole bunch of players out there who are applying psychological profiling to personal development, high performance behaviors. I mean, internally, Supercharge Lab, we have a program where that we created just to create high performance behaviors by understanding how people work and how people interact on a social level at the workplace. So yes, the truth is, AI and personal development and training and HR and hiring, um, it's a massive industry. By the way, it's interesting because one of our first test use cases, was actually in the hiring and the employment industry. We used Segment to see if we could find people the right jobs and match them with the right people, the right companies.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Yeah, as soon as you started talking about the DISC and the MBTI, I was like, wow. So you're adding that extra layer of psychological profiles, finding out the emotional drivers, the psychological drivers. This is on a whole nother level. I love it. This is brilliant. So for those of you that are tuning in, please, please give the show some love, because I find that we're expanding our skill sets. We're hearing about new things, different ways that we could really level up our services and really help our clients. So, as a digital marketing agency, let's say I obviously have a variety of clients and different brands that I work with. Some are even nonprofits. Help me wrap my brain around this and everything that we just discussed. How would I go about creating complete marketing strategies from end to end for clients using AI?
So AI today is becoming so powerful. The development of AI-driven engines has become increasingly more and more democratized. And through Supercharge Labs segment, we're attempting to create an end-to-end solution for our clients to do everything from creating strategies to omni-channel campaigns, running their programmatic bids to serving ads, all on one sleek and clean solution. But you're right. Creating a rigorous strategy, traditionally is something that you spend hours and hours at the drawing board, at the whiteboard, storyboarding. Today, creating that rigorous strategy can be as easy as a few clicks on our platform or through the installation of simple code on a client's website. Segment AI can dynamically drive strategies based on client needs and objectives without the client ever needing to define that audience, write ad copies, or even select the platform to serve their ads. What they can do is literally put in a piece of code and say, okay, this is my objective. Click, 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 launch. And it will tell you this is the strategy you should go on. These are the platforms you should be serving your ads on. These are the metrics that you should be measuring. And dynamically, even better than that, dynamically every single day at any single moment that an ad is live, it can tell you, look, it's not working, your strategy needs to change, let's do it right now. And it does it without you needing to say a thing. Of course, the only thing that's really preventing the future of advertising from taking off like a rocket ship are clients.
Hmm.
Clients need time to approve stuff, to and really, we're limited by the ability of humans to say, is this for real? That's really one of the things that we're limited by. The other thing that's really limiting AI from taking off is this thing called compliance and privacy requirements, right? And I think that that goes across anything which is in marketing or advertising. I think with GDPR and compliance and PIPA and HIPAA and COPA and OPA, data privacy requirements will change the way we operate in the future. The only question is how, and how far will it remove or the need for marketing, or will it more than ever require technology to scale those heights? The question is still being answered at this point. I think we're all learning how to operate in a increasingly litigious world, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's fascinating. I love that you hit on GDPR and all the different things. In fact, when I was looking at the superchargelab.com website and just the fact that you could hit the ground running and start an 8-week campaign that really gives you an idea of the messaging, the platforms, the advertising, and all the different things, I was like, wow. Like for me as a strategist, right? I have my own process of things and systematizing it and whatnot. And for me, if I can put in the inputs, the information of what I know that I gathered from like my kickoff meeting or the discovery calls with clients, and have Sigmund put this together and develop a strategy that I could then turn around and share with the client and say, hey, this is based off of data and artificial intelligence. And this is what we know based off of the emotional drivers, psychological drivers, and all the different things. Let's test it. That's, to me, that's fascinating. To me, that's so fascinating. Yeah. Shout out to Stephen Love. He's saying the machine learning engineer and marketer nerd in me is going nuts right now. I know, right, Stephen? Like this is it's fascinating to me because I think as marketers, we always want to get the best for our clients, right? And so we're always looking for tools and technology that can really help us do that. And when you talked about this being instantaneous and being able to do this at scale, like you are not kidding whatsoever. I see this for me, even as a smaller agency, is like how can I bake this into my cost, right? And I'm imagining, and you could tell me whether or not this is true, but I'm imagining that when I give my inputs and I go click, 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 it's not only just going to give me a strategy, but give me the reasoning behind it. Is that right? Like, this is why you should
Mhm.
be on this platform and put ad dollars against this. Is that right?
So it's interesting. So what it does, and this is for Steven as a machine learning engineer, I think all of us in AI, what we do is we create thesis based on what the data says. And the cool thing about what AI does is that it gives you a confidence score for everything that it recommends. So if it tells you this is the strategy you should go after, we have a 96% confidence score that it's going to work, you should go for it, right? But if it's a 50% confidence score, you probably want to think twice. So the cool part about machine learning is that every machine learning model always tells you how confident it is that whatever it's training is gonna consistently create that outcome.
Very cool. So
Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
I'm not only am I fascinated, but our tech producer is fascinated as well. And P.S. by the way, if any of you have any more questions, and Anthony was asking questions earlier, but Stephen, Troy, the rest of the crew, if you have any other questions, please go ahead and drop them in now because Anne, this has been fantastic. This has been terrific. How do folks connect with you to learn more about Sigmund and Supercharge Lab?
Yeah, so you can go to the website superchargelab.com. We operate a lot out of LinkedIn because we do a lot of B2B stuff. Join the ambassador program, superchargelab.com/ambassador. That's where you can literally get paid for referring your clients to us to do the work that you should be doing. So literally, we pay you to to make us do your work, which is kind of weird. But yeah, so that's a great way to reach us. Or you can write to me, and at superchargelab.com. Book a time to chat with me, calendly.com/Cheng. Yeah, happy to have conversations with industry peers.
That's exciting. And you glossed over the ambassador program. I was like, there is an ambassador program. If you want to learn more about Sigmund and shuffle off the referrals over to Supercharge Lab, then there's an opportunity to do that. You get paid for every single client you refer into their program. I'm actually looking at the website right now, superchargelab.com/ambassador. There's an agreement there and all the different things that you can check out. This is exciting, friends. Stephen Love is saying absolutely confidence scoring is key. I knew you guys are going to enjoy this. We always bring you all the latest and the greatest when it comes to Agency Accelerated. So, hey, friends, wow, that went by really quick and we covered so much ground. Here's the thing. That's all that we have today, friends. And this is going to be an opportunity for you to remember to subscribe to the calendar. Go to agorapulse.com/calendar for the rest of this season. I'm live next on September 1st with Ecamm Network, who I absolutely love, absolutely adore. September 8th is going to be with Microsoft Advertising, and on September 22nd with Square 11. And to take advantage, I want you to take advantage of our free webinar on how to add agency revenue by adding social media services. So you're going to head on over to bit.ly/add agency revenue. I'm telling you, here you learned more about Supercharge Labs, Sigmund, the Ambassador Program. Last week we were talking about Thinkific and how you could add course creator services to that. There's so much you can do, and I bet you next time when we come back to regroup to talk about live streaming services, we may even talk about remote live video production, because that's another thing that you can add to your ad agency services. So I'm going to take one more look at the comments. Oh, Kendra's here. Kendra's saying such great content. And by the way, Kendra is one of the top marketers when it comes to the cannabis marketing industry. And I know that Kendra does a lot of work in understanding that consumer market. And I think having the data, the AI, and all the different things to allow you to do that is going to be absolutely brilliant. All right, friends, thank you so much for being a part of the show. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. We'll go ahead and catch you next week. Thanks so much. Take care.